Now, we've been talking about the will of God, and I want to address some of the other questions that I think would be under the title, The Big Plan of God. It's important for you to understand that before we get further in this, that there are really two senses when we say the word will of God and in what we mean. The first one is represented in a Greek term, thelo. Thelo, it means to plan. It's a desire, but it's also a plan put in order. And sometimes in Scripture, God's will is God's plan. That means that's what He's laid out. Like, for instance, 1 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 19, Paul's talking about coming to the church at Corinth, and he says, but I plan to come to you. I thelo to come to you, if the Lord wills. It's my desire, but it's also something that I have laid into a plan. In 1 Corinthians 12, he's talking about God having given gifts to different people in the body. And he says that God gives them according to His plan, that He does it according to the way He planned to do. Now, it's translated in 1 Corinthians 12:18 as the Lord has desired. But really, the technical idea of it is as the Lord has planned. There's another word that's similar to it, but there's a nuance of difference, and this is the word bulimai. And this is the idea that God has a deliberate desire or purpose in mind, but it's not necessarily the plan. It's a desire. For instance, when Paul's writing again in 1 Corinthians 12, he says, God works dividing up the gifts of the Spirit to each man as he desires, according to his own desire. In 1 Timothy 2, verse 8, Paul says, I desire that men everywhere would lift up holy hands without wrath and doubting, and that this would be the way that they would come for prayer and worship. 1 Timothy 5, I want, therefore, younger women to marry and bear children. It's not a plan he has, it's a desire that he has. And on through the Scripture, what you see is that God has a desire, God has a plan, and they're not always the same thing. Now, that's a little bit weird. Why is there a difference?